Hi class, so this is the tutorial for completing project 1 on your iPad. So if you have cut your MP4 down on a computer, you'll need to get that back onto your iPad either by airdropping it to yourself or emailing it to yourself or hardwiring it to your iPad. However you get it on there is fine by me. Once you have this video on your iPad, you'll want to open up Procreate Dreams and make a new movie. So you'll want to make sure your frame rate matches your actual video. So if you followed mine, it'll be 10 frames per second. If you just took a video with your iPad, you'll just want to check what your frame rate settings were and keep the duration fairly low because if you make it too long, you'll just have a really long timeline that you have to deal with. And then hit draw on the movie option to make a new movie. You'll want to bring in that movie as a track, so hit that plus button and then go to video and find your MP4 and that'll come in as a new track. You'll want to put another track on top of that you can draw on, so hit that plus button again and just add a track. Then you'll bring this little playhead with the little movie clapper to the beginning, and I like to go into flipbook mode to draw. If you don't know how to do that, go ahead and check out the tutorial on the iPad users page. And we're gonna take some time here to design our character. So with Procreate Dreams, you have some really nice brushes that you can select from. Just pick whatever one you like and keep your design fairly simple so that you don't lose your sanity when you do this 30 times. So we're gonna go ahead and draw our character. I kept my colors really limited, so I did like a little pink, 2 different shades of pink and black, and that's all I have for color in my character. Whatever you pick is up to you, but as soon as you're ready to start dropping in color, what you'll do is you'll just sort of press and hold with your pencil in the top right there where the little color circle drop of color is, and just drag that down inside of your line work. So what that looks like is that sometimes your line work is not solid enough, and so you will fill the entire area instead of just the area you want it to fill. You can change the sensitivity of your dropper by holding and kind of sliding left or right, but you can also just make sure that your lines are fully connected. So that happens to me fairly often. Something I didn't figure out until sort of embarrassingly late in the game was that it makes a lot of sense to make a palette for yourself. So you'll want to click on the little color droplet on the far right, and at the bottom click palette. You can rename this palette, then hit the plus and name the palette whatever you want. And then you'll want to select the colors you're actually going to use. So for me, I just went to my fully designed character. I held with my finger on the color I wanted and selected that. Then went back to my palette and just clicked inside the palette to make that color. And so for every one of those, I did it. So I had 3 colors. I put those all in my palette. So when I'm going through and coloring, I can just go back there and find the right color, and it'll be consistent every time. And you won't have to flick back and forth as you do this. So once you have your character designed, your palette set up, you can scroll on your frame selector to the next frame and complete your subsequent drawing. And draw to your heart's content, or maybe a little bit past your heart's content. So I actually did not make 30 frames for this, full disclosure. I've done this assignment now 3 times, so I just did enough to make a loop that makes sense. For you are required to do all 30 frames. There's a couple of reasons for this. The first is just to introduce you to the idea of movement and how different your images actually need to be in order to create these illusions, and also to give you sort of a gentle introduction to the workload and workflow of animation. Once you have completed all of your animated frames, you'll want to put a background in. So in the tutorial I gave for Adobe Animate, I made a really simple, just background. But for this case, because Procreate is so fun to draw in, I decided to go find a reference image online. So I like to use Unsplash. All of these images have, the copyright is for sharing. You can look specifically at the copyright rules of every image you have, but it's generally speaking pretty safe to use them. If you can't use that image, it won't let you download it for free. So anything you can download, you can use. Also, if you have your own images, those you own the copyright for. So using your own image or a copyright that is allowing sharing is always good practice. You don't want a headache later on when someone comes after you for their creative work. And also, as a creative yourself, you don't want anyone to do that to you. So I found an image of a dance studio that I liked the lines of, and I decided to bring that into my movie on Procreate. So the way I did that is, again, hitting the plus button on the right here and adding an image and then dropping it in. When you drop it in, it should have these little handles on the edge to allow you to move it around and change the size. If you've lost track of that, no worries, just click and hold on the image itself and go to move, and you should be able to move and crop and scale your image. Once you have it in a place that you like for the perspective and for the scale, go ahead and put another track on top of that that you can draw on again. So eventually we'll delete this track just like we will delete our video track and just export our drawn elements. So I took some time doing this. Lots of decisions that I won't bore you with, but once you have, I got to a point where I liked the strokes of everything I had done. I just didn't like the colors, so I did the colors in a way that was fairly similar to the original reference image with these sort of oranges and browns. But I just felt like it was clashing with my character. So the way I wanted to deal with this was by finding some blend modes. So blend modes change the way two layers interact with one another. So normally the way the computer interprets a layer is that colors are entirely solid. So when a layer is on top of another layer, you cannot see the layer underneath it. But if you change the blend mode, you will be able to have a more subtle interaction. So I'm going to drop a pink track on top of my drawn layer, and I'm going to go ahead and go to blend mode and just scroll through these. So each one of these blend modes chooses to take a certain information from the top and the bottom layer. So like darken takes the darkest information of the two, lighten takes the lightest information of the two. I ended up settling on color, which took the color information from my pink layer and the value information, so how dark or bright it is, from my bottom layer that I had drawn. And so it made sort of a pink room that you could still tell had sort of wooden, it was a dance hall. And so that's what I settled on. Whatever you choose to do in the end with your background is totally fine with me. It's not so much about, I mean, if drawing is the thing that you're here for, absolutely go wild on it. But I actually just want you to understand how the animated and background elements work together. So once we've done all this, we're going to go ahead and export this, and we're going to finish our loop back in the computer. So see you over there. Bye.